Welcome to day 33 on Food for the Soul Daily Devotional. I'd like to introduce this student. I don't want to say who it is, but I'm pretty sure after the description, you may figure it out. This student may not express himself as much as most of us probably do, like myself or others. But the way God uses him to express the gift that God has given him in such a short time, it is very impressive to see the ability and the commitment I'm pretty sure he has put into it. And I am looking forward to seeing what God does in his life to be able to show more the ability to be able to express through the gift that God has given him. He expresses a lot through facial expressions, I've noticed. But I do notice that his expression that I know God will definitely use him for through the instrument he's playing is going to be something that's going to be a blessing to many. So keep going, and without further ado, here is our guest for today.
Um, God bless you. The verse I decided to make my my video on is Hebrews 11:6. It says, "Without faith, no one can please God, because the one coming to God must believe He exists, and He rewards those who come seeking." The reason why I chose this verse is because it tells me that with faith you can please God and receive blessings from God, because that is what He wants. He wants those who look and want for Him to have faith and to know that He is there. A verse that looks like this one that impacted me is Mark 11:24. It says, "Therefore I tell you, whatever you ask for in prayer, believe that you have received it, and it will be yours." I can say that I relate to this because since I was little, I was always taught to pray and to have faith in God. Because when I was little, they robbed our car, and uh, and it was hard for us back then to get a new one. So so all we did was pray and pray, and uh, and when it was my turn to pray, I would always put a lot of faith in my prayers and my words, and I was already thanking God that He would bring back that car back to us, or just how it was. So so the next few days we kept on praying and hoping that we would get it back somehow. But my dad was thinking of getting a new car because he had to go to work, but he had no way of going there. And one day when Ellie came out of school, uh, well, she said that she saw it parked in front of the school, which was like uh, like 30 minutes away from our house, and it was right in front of her school. And she said she saw it on the way back, and well, we called the cops and all that to check if it was actually there, and it was as good as when they took it. So so I think it was because of faith that God wanted to bless us. Then the Bible story that relates to faith is Jesus calms the storm. How how when Jesus and his disciples were on the boat, and Jesus decided to test their faith by creating a storm. Um, disciples were scared and decided to wake up Jesus because he was asleep in the middle of the storm. So So Jesus knew that. Oh, he knew that on the little faith that he had in them. So I think that connects to some people because maybe we're going through a problem like a storm, and maybe it's not that bad because all we have to do is have faith in it and faith in Jesus that He would help us and get through it. Just like He calmed the storm when they were getting scared, but He was right there with them. That's how we shouldn't be, because we have to have faith in Him because we know that He's there with us all the time. So so these two verses really impacted me and taught me that no matter how big the problem is, we always have to have faith in God and pray to Him, and so so that He can do miracles with us and bless us. And there will be times when He will test our faith. So all we gotta do is have faith in Him.
Thank you for those words, David, that bring inspiration and remind us that without faith, it is impossible to please our Father. I, I love the story that David said about the car, and it reminds me sometimes as kids the faith we have, because sometimes I don't know what happens between the age of a child to when we become adults, that we tend to lose, I don't want to say we tend to lose faith, but we tend to start analyzing things accordingly instead of praying for them first and waiting to see if God would answer or guide us into the right direction. For example, there's a story that, not a story, a true story actually, when my wife told me something regarding her refrigerator going bad, and her parents like, oh, if you pray for it, yeah, you may get better. But they were saying it in a way like, okay, as parents, I just want to tell my kids to pray. But as parents, they didn't think it was actually going to happen when they prayed. I believe Claudia and her brother prayed for the refrigerator to get better, and the refrigerator got better. It worked. But as parents, as adults, sometimes we tend to lose touch about certain things that when we say them, we know them, we've been taught these things, but we become so analytical of trying to see, like, if something messes up, if a car messes up, we have to take it to the auto shop. If someone gets sick, here's the vitamins. But we forget to come to God first before anything. Before we give that Advil, hey, let's pray. And I am the first to admit that if I have a headache, I forget about praying because I don't want to think about like having to do something. I am the first one to put myself like that. But I think it teaches us that faith needs to be put there first. We want to please God, right? So it's very important that we put faith first, and then we start relying on science and Advil and the repairman fixing our car or the repairman fixing a refrigerator. As human beings, I think that's where we tend to go to first, rather than let's pray, let's have faith, let's see what God is capable of doing first before taking the next step. There was another time when we were at church, and there was this hermana who literally just fainted, and everybody's calling 911 and making a big deal out of it. And I believe my wife just started praying because we were surrounded by our leaders, surrounded by deacons. And this is not a TDR, this was at our old church. But the first reaction was to, of course, call 911. Yeah, we need to be responsible. But it was at church. And instead of anybody praying for her to feel better, to rise from whatever she was in, I believe she had low blood sugar or something, everybody was panicking and trying to figure out, give her some water, give her some air, call 911 and this and that. And I believe Claudia started praying for her, and she came back, and the hermana said, yeah, I had something, I heard some voice of some sort, and I felt like, hey, came back from it. Again, some details are missing, but it's sad to know that sometimes as adults we tend to forget the importance of what faith is. So let's remember the importance that even though we cannot see what's about to happen or can happen when you're praying for someone, whether they're sick, whether the refrigerator's not working, and it's not happening at that very moment, faith is being able to put yourself in a situation and declare words that are being put out there for God, presented to Him, and well, it's up to Him to decide whether He's going to answer or not. But the beauty of it is believing and putting it to practice on a day to day basis, regardless if He answers or does not answer, because is in doing so, when you say something that you cannot see it at that very moment, and then it happens, that's when our faith begins to grow more and more. But we constantly have to be able to do this on a day to day basis. Rely on Him to do things that we cannot see, but yet will happen in due time. So let's remember these words that David expressed of faith, because without faith, it is impossible to please Him. So don't forget that. God bless, and I love you guys.